Most leadership advice is wrong. It teaches you how to manage your team, but it ignores the one person you spend 24 hours a day with, yourself. Over the past 25 years, I have learned that your success doesn't come from the boardroom. It's decided in your kitchen at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. The most important leadership role you'll ever have doesn't come with a title, a corner office, or even a team to manage. It comes in the quiet moments when no one else is watching, when you're deciding how to respond to your teenager's attitude, or whether to check your phone during dinner, or how to handle the disappointment of a plan falling through. Today, I want to completely reframe what leadership means and show you why the most transformative thing you can do isn't learning to lead others. It's learning to lead yourself. I'm Dr. Cara. Here's what I've discovered after 25 years of working with leaders and in human behavior. We've been taught to think of leadership as something external. We picture boardrooms, big decisions, teams, strategy sessions. But this narrow definition has left millions of people feeling powerless in their own lives, especially those who carry significant leadership responsibilities. You wake up with decision fatigue before you've even made a decision. You find yourself saying yes when you really mean no. Getting tired by things that shouldn't even matter. Feeling like you're performing leadership instead of living it. There's this quiet fear that you're one step away from burnout and a kind of leadership loneliness where you feel responsible for everyone else's success, but completely disconnected from your own sense of purpose. You might excel at leading teams and hitting targets, but when it comes to your own life, your relationships, your energy, your authentic choices, you feel like it's happening to you instead of being consciously created by you. Here's the truth. Leadership isn't a title. It is how you live your life. Let me take you back to a moment that completely shifted my understanding of what leadership really means. Imagine this. It's Tuesday evening and I'm standing in my kitchen after what I feel had been the longest day imaginable. My daughter walks in. Clearly, she's upset about something that happened at school. In that split second, I had a choice. My first instinct was to fix it, control the situation, launch into advice, and try to make her feel better as quickly as possible. Then something made me pause. Instead of immediately jumping into solution mode, I took a breath and did something different. I received what was actually happening. Not just her words, but her energy, her need to be heard. I perceived my own urge to control the situation and recognize it wasn't about her needs. It was about my discomfort with her pain. Then I responded from a completely different place. I sat down beside her and said, "Tell me more." That's it. No advice, no fixing, just presence. What happened next taught me about real relationships. She didn't need me to solve anything. She needed me to create space for her to process, to feel heard, to work through it herself. My leadership in that moment wasn't about having answers. It was about how I chose to show up. I realized in that moment, the same reactive urge I felt to fix my daughter's problem was the exact same pattern that had caused me to jump to conclusions in tense project meetings or shut down someone else's opinion without even hearing it. The stakes were different, but the internal mechanism was identical. This is a leadership tightrope we all walk every day. Not the kind where you're balancing organizational demands and team dynamics, but the invisible high wire of life itself. On one side, the pressure to control, to fix, to have it all figured out. On the other side, the fear of not being enough, of disappointing people, of things falling apart. Here's what I learned that night in my kitchen. Leadership isn't about walking that tightrope perfectly. It's about finding grace in the sway. It's realizing that your most powerful moments don't come from eliminating uncertainty. They come from how you receive it, how you perceive it, and how you respond to it. This brings me to the receive, perceive, respond methodology. It's the foundation for leading yourself through every moment of your life. And it starts with understanding you have more control than you think, just not where you think you do. Receive is about creating space. Instead of immediately reacting to whatever life throws at you, you take a pause. You actually take in what's happening without immediately jumping to conclusions or judgment or solutions. In that moment with my daughter, receiving meant letting her words and emotions exist without my immediate need to change them. Think about your emotions like text message notifications on your phone. When you get a notification, it's a prompt that something requires your attention. You don't ignore it. You check and see what's going on. In the same way, receiving means checking the notification. What's actually happening before immediately responding? Perceive is where the real insight happens. This is where you examine not just what's happening around you, but what's happening inside of you. Your emotions, your triggers, your assumptions. It's asking, what is the story I'm telling myself about this situation? What am I trying to control here? Picture your emotions like an airplane in a holding pattern during a storm. The plane is ready to land, but the conditions aren't right. Instead of forcing the landing, experienced pilots maintain their holding pattern, waiting for clarity. When I perceived my urge to fix my daughter's problem, I realized it was more about my discomfort than her needs. Respond is where you take intentional action from a place of awareness, not reaction, not autopilot, but conscious choice. My response was to create space for connection rather than rushing to control the outcome. This isn't just a technique, it's a way of living. When you start applying it consistently, something remarkable happens. You stop feeling like life is happening to you and start experiencing yourself as the author of your own story. Imagine you're a college student facing pressure from your family about a major. They want you to choose something practical, maybe business or engineering, but your heart is pulling you towards something totally different, like art or social work. The old way of handling this? You might react by either completely caving to their pressure or rebelling against it. Both responses gives your power away, either to their expectations or to your resistance. What if you applied self-leadership instead? You'd receive the situation fully. Yes, your family has concerns about your financial future. Yes, you have different values and interests. Both things can be true. You'd perceive what's really at stake. Maybe you realize your family's pressure comes from love, worry, not control. Maybe you recognize that your resistance comes from fear that choosing your passion means you're irresponsible. Then you'd respond from your authentic truth. You might have a conversation that honors both their concerns and your values. You might research how to build a sustainable career in your chosen field. You might even decide that a compromise feels integrity aligned rather than forced. This is self-leadership in action. No title required, no team to manage, just you choosing to lead your life with intention instead of reaction. Now here's what I want you to try for the next 24 hours. I'm going to give you one specific practice that will help you start building what I call your self-leadership. For one full day, I want you to focus on the receive step. When something challenging happens, and it will, I want you to pause before reacting. Take one conscious breath. That's it. Don't worry about having the perfect insights or amazing responses. Just practice creating space between what happens and how you react. Notice what that space feels like. Notice how it changes your next action, even slightly. You might be dealing with a difficult email from your boss. Instead of immediately firing back a response, you pause and breathe. You might be feeling frustrated with your partner about household responsibilities. Before you launch into a complaint, take that conscious breath. It isn't about becoming passive or letting people walk all over you. It's about reclaiming your power to choose your response instead of being hijacked by your reactions. Here's what I know to be true after decades of this work. When you start leading yourself effectively, everything else in your life begins to shift. Your relationships improve because you're responding from awareness rather than reacting from triggers. Your decisions become clear because you're connected to your authentic truth rather than performing for others. Your stress decreases because you're focusing your energy on what you can actually control. But the most beautiful part, you start giving other people permission to do the same. Your children see you pause before reacting and learn emotional regulation. Your partner experiences you as more present and less reactive. Your friends feel safer being authentic around you because you've created space for your own humanity. This leadership loneliness you've been carrying, it starts to dissolve because you're not performing leadership anymore. You're living it. That quiet fear of burnout, it fades because you're no longer exhausting yourself trying to control things outside of your influence. This is how change really happens in the world, not through grand gestures or perfect leadership performances, but through ordinary people choosing to lead themselves with intention, one moment at a time. Over the next 7 episodes, we're going to dive deep into how the self-leadership shows up in every aspect of your life. We'll explore how to know your worth even when others don't see your value, ending that exhausting cycle of seeking external validation. We'll discover how to embody grace when perfectionism wants to take over. We will learn when and how to pivot when life doesn't go according to plan. Most importantly, you're going to develop unshakable confidence in your ability to lead yourself through any situation that life presents. Because here is the truth. You already have everything you need. You just need to learn how to access it. So today, take that conscious breath. Create that space. Practice receiving what's actually happening instead of immediately trying to control it. And let me know in the comments where in your life you most need to strengthen your self-leadership. What situation keeps triggering your reactive patterns? Remember, leadership isn't a title, it's how you live your life. The most important person you'll ever learn to lead is yourself.